You can delete Stardust Hills off, we don't have anything tonight.
Okay.
Did we determine at the last meeting the date and time of meetings for this year?
Did we determine the time?
Did we do that in December? The date, time, and location of meetings?
I believe so. We
Yeah, I
already
think
have
we-
the schedule posted.
Okay,
so-
okay. So we're good then.
Okay, do I have approval of the agenda as amended? Do I have a
I'll
motion?
make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Approval of minutes from the December 13th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Claims and transfers. General, $206,204.64. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Water, $49,277.86.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wastewater, $54,341.90. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
All in favor? Or, I did second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Payroll, $74,907.16. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the January, can you briefly explain that to me?
So the ones from December were from the last council meeting to the end of December of last year. And so these from January are just from January 1st till the end of last week when Kelly sent out the agenda and everything.
Okay, general for January, $22,233.35. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Water, $5,733.36. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wastewater, $295,062.28. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Communications.
You've all got my monthly report. It's also the yearly. We ended up with 4,100 calls of service. Multitude of criminal arrests for the year. Let's go. New reserves, you want me to just go down my list?
Yeah, you have several that you added.
We have several that we added, but none of us here tonight. So
That's fine. Yeah, give us names.
Stevens, Reese, and Driver.
Okay.
The canine cage that we had talked about in previous meetings, Sam's at the academy right now. His idea of it is it takes about 2 months to get the cage built and several weeks to get it installed. He's wanting to move forward on this with your approval. My only hang-up is, if you look, there's a door pop system and a fan system that go in the car, the auto pop lock system. And with this installation, it only gives the installation of the cage. He will not be installing the pop lock system nor the auto window door fan system. So my idea, I I'd love to get it going. But as far as the installation, I'd rather see, he was supposed to provide me with two. He was supposed to provide me with two proposals. One was this one that he gave me, of $1,600 that didn't install everything, just the cage. So I'd like to, I don't know how we want to do this. I'd like to at least get the cage ordered, because it takes 2 months to order.
And those things can be added, right?
And then find out who we're gonna have install it later. Because I know it's gonna probably be JDN, because that's all the electrical system.
Mhm.
What do you anticipate, once you get two complete bids, what do you anticipate the dollar amount being?
Well, like I said, this first bid doesn't include those two items.
So it's gonna be at least $1,600.
So it's gonna be at least 1,600, yeah. The total for the cage and the system come to 5,830. He's raised more than that, obviously. And even with what we had figured before, the 1,600 was with just the cage. We estimated it would be 2,500 if you installed everything.
Is there just one cage manufacturer, basically?
Yeah,
And you're basically gonna gain a bid for the people that are gonna put it in?
yeah, it's
So-
the installation. Now, this guy's gonna save us money on installation.
Yeah.
He's just not able to do all the wiring.
My point is, if they just gave you approval tonight of $2,000 to order the cage, and you come back next month with two bids to do the whole package, would that work for?
Well, the cage is actually 2,600.
Oh, okay. What was the $1,600 bid?
1,600 was installation
Oh,
and the
I'm
car
sorry.
of the cage.
I'm sorry, okay. Would that work if they just gave you approval for the dollar amount for the cage, so you can get ordered?
Yeah, I'd like to at least get that going, because like I said, it's a 2-month process for them to build it. And that's Elite K9, 99% of the police departments utilize. Because there's three prices when you're looking at these. The first one's for that safety system that keeps the dog cool, automatically rolls the windows down, turns on fans, air conditioners. And it was the 1630. Then the cage was 26, and just the installation of the cage only was 16. So it actually come to 5830 for all of that. But I'd like to see somebody, the price it's gonna cost to put the other two systems in. But I'd like to at least get the cage approved to where I can get it ordered.
And this comes out donations too, then?
It comes straight out of the K9 fund.
Yeah.
We really need to vote on that?
Well, you could give just, I would think before you order a $2,500 cage, the company would know that there's money allocated to pay for the cage.
Yeah.
The donation fund is currently at about $6,292 for K-9 donation.
So it's covered already, so. We need to vote on it, since it's determined to come out of that fund.
Well, we
it's
need your
still-
approval.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
And that's the allocate to order the cage.
Right.
The next portion is the SRO, the second SRO. If you're not aware, the South Putnam has got a grant that allows them to pay 25% of all costs, like we have to deal with Cloverdale, where they're paying 50% of our SRO. Cloverdale's agreed to pick up the other 25% to make 50 and 50 on this one as well. He'll be there 20 hours a week, and he'll be here 20 hours a week. The numbers are here. We've got a guy that is interested. The schools, both superintendents have approved. They're basically just waiting on your approval, saying, yes, we can move forward, or no, we can't.
They pay, let's say the officer's $50,000 a year.
Okay.
So the school corporations are gonna pay $25,000,
25, or each of them will pay 25%, it'll come to 50%, yes.
and then the town's on the hook for $25,000.
Yes.
And that's only during the school year.
Correct.
So during the summer, when school's not in session, do they keep paying, or is it 100% on the town?
I think that they keep paying. I think they budgeted out.
Oh,
For
okay.
50% of the salary.
Okay.
And they could have to be at a function at the school.
Yeah, okay.
Because I know Cloverdale's 50,000 is their grant up, so it's up to 50,000 is what they're eligible to pay. And I don't believe, ever had any questions about it going over that. Because usually I put out, I don't know if I got you one, I'll give you one now. But the first year, obviously, because there's a vehicle involved, the computer, phones, stuff like that, the first year's gonna be a little bit more expensive. It looks like the 50% estimate is 44, around 44,000.
So we can get another car too?
Yes. And after that, year two, our 50% would be about 31.5, so 32,000.
And I think that vehicle will be a used vehicle.
It'd be a used vehicle, and it's not to exceed 20,000.
It will be a police vehicle.
That would be our vehicle.
Yes. Any more discussion? Any questions?
No, not for me.
Do I have a motion?
Should we go ahead and move forward with it?
Second.
I second this.
All in favor? Aye.
And that kind of transpires into the next thing, the vehicle. Currently, I know Steve brought it up about the detective vehicle. They currently got a Crown Vic or Caprice, one of the two, fully loaded. It's $5,500. They put it together all for us. So worst case scenario, that could be the car we utilize as an SRO if our detective isn't funded whenever. But right now, she's got a vehicle sitting there waiting for us to purchase, and the total cost, and it's fully loaded with police gear, is $5,500.
Who's the vehicle, who currently owns the vehicle?
Anymore.
So we would have to get into another lease agreement.
Well, this would be, he's proposing the town buy.
We would purchase it outright for $5,500.
And according to the chief, the way I understand it, it would be coming out of donations.
That's what I heard.
But the donation fund's at $6,000.
No,
That
that's
was-
canine.
That was.
Oh, that's
K-9,
K-9,
yeah.
okay.
The regular police donations has over 19,000 in it right now.
And it'd be bought and paid completely for.
Except for the insurance and gas and maintenance. So, you said with the detective needs it. This is-
When, I wasn't involved in a lot of the detective discussion when it comes to her finances. So all I can say is right now, I don't know where her money's coming from until Steve gets back in February. So if there's money there and she's currently employed, she's gonna be the operator of that vehicle.
So what's the SRO gonna drive?
Well, temporarily, he'll drive that car, our reserve car out there now, but in that budget items that I put out, there's 20,000 allocated to the schools and us to purchase a vehicle for 20,000, a used vehicle, used police vehicle that can be used as the SRO car. Which would give us our reserve car back, or our extra, I call it reserve car. It's what they use when we have released reserves, or it's our car whenever mine has to go into the shop, or
questions.
Okay. So you need a motion to purchase,
Yeah, because Andy Moore brought paperwork down, and obviously we can't do anything with it until the board approves.
Did you get us multiple bids to purchase the vehicle?
They look, I mean, we've always used Andy Moore.
Well, you should also be always getting multiple bids.
Well, if you're gonna stay with who supports you,
I understand.
I mean, they throw Andy Moore.
What generally happens is they give us a really good deal on our vehicles.
5,500 is pretty cheap for a fully loaded police car.
They've been fair to us over the years as far as purchasing. And they've taken care of us.
Now, I can understand that in a brand new vehicle, fully. I would want multiple bids. But on a used vehicle, when you're talking 8,500 for a fully loaded police car, I don't see how anybody
They've
else
helped
could
us out
come
with
close.
demos and, you know, they've helped us out with some demo vehicles and things like that, so.
I take that back. Is the car ready?
Yes.
So this has been in the works?
I don't know. I don't know that for a fact. I mean, I know they've all been talking. They've been looking for one. He knew the donation money was there. So I think what had happened is Kent went ahead and put one together and said, I got one ready. This is what it's gonna cost you to get it.
I have no further questions.
to have a motion to allow him to go ahead and purchase the used vehicle for 5,500.
I'll make a motion, we purchase the vehicle for 5,500.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Is anyone here from the fire department tonight? Town manager?
Bill Creek Meadows, obviously, we just got that on there because it's still under development, but nothing new to report there. Yeah. Utility relocation. This is the water and wastewater relocation on 231 north of 70 that goes to Poet. We've talked about this at the last couple meetings that we have to relocate those services. There's been a lot of things happening with this, and even today, I had a conversation with our engineer that's doing the engineering on that, along with NDOT. They were here, and we were communicating with that. We still don't know 100% sure which side of the road that will be on or what the total cost is. We've been kind of finagling a few things. I feel very confident NDOT is going to be picking up 90% of that cost of that relocation. So we're down to the 10%. We're still not sure if it's going to be on the east side or the west side. If we go to the east side, it's going to be a little cheaper, but we have to deal with some utilities on that. So, honestly, I don't know that I really have good information to give you on that, although the only thing I can say is we have to have a decision by Friday which side of the road we're going to be on, and NDOT's going to dictate that basically. So it's not really a decision we have to make. But I'm going to have a much clearer picture of where this is going. I feel very confident I have the mechanism to not only the 90% covered by, that will be paid for by NDOT, but the 10%, I believe we will have committed through county edit funds. So I feel pretty confident this is not going to be a burden on the ratepayer of Cloverdale. So hopefully Friday I'll have more information for you about that. But the one thing I do know is it is going to have to be moved. And that, just to remind you, that is the Poet, is that they're going to be putting a turn lane there at Poet and widening that road, so that's the purpose and the reason we have to move that. Any questions on that at all? I'll email you when I have those exact numbers. I have got different numbers today. I did have a meeting with 4 different HWC engineers today, and that was one of them we were talking about. So we also have, that's actually Curry and Associates that's actually doing that engineering, but I did talk to him about this project as well, because it kind of could potentially affect our water project that we have submitted for SRF. This was probably before you ran it, but we've got a project to take a water line hopefully at some point north of 70 all the way to Poet. That would be a 10-inch line, which is 6-inch now. So we are coordinating with HWC on that. And they didn't have a problem with moving it to the east side. I can continue on if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Bennington Way, I could have added this to the agenda, and I'm gonna bring it up as well, but there's, initially when we did the Bennington Way Community Crossings application, we kind of had envisioned doing Bennington Way, which is the north-south street, commonly called McDonald's Road, is what everybody calls it. But then also coming back at a later point and doing Beagle Club Road, the east-west road. When we signed the contract last year, I didn't even realize this until about a month ago, or less than a month ago. We were engineering the entire thing. So we already have Beagle Club Road engineered as well as Bennington Way. So the plan, and because we'd all talked about doing this in two different community crossing projects. The first one would be 2022, which is Bennington Way, then we come back next year and do Beagle Club. I started getting some phone calls a few weeks ago, preparing me to submit an application for Community Crossings 2023 for Beagle Club Road. And I'm like, oh wow, I wasn't ready for that. And until today, I didn't even know what the project cost was. The project cost to do Beagle Club is $540,000, which if we decide we're going to go in for this, we have to have our application in by the end of this month. We would be required to come up with a 25% match, similar to what we did, well, similar to what all community crossing matching grants get, or are required. In our case with Beagle Club, or with Bennington Way, we got a local match from a different source. If we decide to do Beagle Club, we're probably gonna have to come up with that ourselves. So I asked Rebecca this afternoon, and I have not, and honestly, with this, I would like to see if we could look at this a little further, but we also have to have this application in before the end of this month. But honestly, I have not reviewed it. I got the numbers today. Kelly's not here. I have not reviewed any numbers with Kelly. Rebecca provided me with a fund report. And just by me looking at it, I feel confident we could probably make it work and make it happen. But I think Kelly should give her blessing that we can make it happen as well. I see some funds where we can pull out of. There's also a TIF district that is in a TIF district, so that can be part of it. Stormwater could be part of that as well. So I think financially we could make it happen. I still want to go through this with Kelly. If you're watching Kelly on Line High, I will talk to you tomorrow. But just wanted to throw that out there. If you think you want to try to make this project happen, I think we're going to need another meeting before the end of this month. And what that is, it is a rebuild of Beagle Club from 231 all the way to the town limits, which is just on the other side of the carpet store. And that's where it stops. So it would actually widen it just a little bit, curb, sidewalk, stormwater down through there. There's a lot of infrastructure there already. This project being $440,000 is in comparison to the Bennington Way is 1.3 million. So it's substantially smaller. I think we could probably make it work, but I really would like to work these finances. But this was kind of thrown on us pretty quickly. So I don't know if it's something you want to come back at a special meeting here in a week or so and discuss.
So the one for Beagle Club Road is the one that has to be submitted by the end of January?
Yes. The Bennington Way, that's approved.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you about the rest of that in a second, but yes. So it's Beagle Club Road. And this happened a little faster than I was anticipating. I kind of thought we were going to have a little break.
It's okay.
But they think they want to, or they think they can be ready. And if we're ready and we've got the finances, I'm not opposed to going in. It's it's a 75-25. State pays 75, we pay 25. And we have to pay the engineering, which we've already paid for the engineering.
That's
So-
already been completed.
Correct. Now, that's good, even if we don't go in this round, that we could use, engineering's gonna be good for years. So at some point, I think we need to, and you just need to decide if this is the time you want to do it or not.
To do those both would be a huge, but
It would complete that corner.
It would. Why don't you get with Kelly? Send us an email, and then, yes.
You need 10 days too, don't you?
Yeah,
for the meeting, 48 hours.
48 hours after it's put in the paper.
yes.
You just have to post it.
Okay, so
Yeah, 48 hours.
even if it's out here on the marquee, that's.
Wherever, yeah, or on the door, wherever you normally post it.
The only thing that would not be included would be sidewalks. We have to self-fund that. So that would not be part of that $540,000 project. It's just, that opportunity's there. It's whether you want to do it now or, and it's even possible, just based on the schedule. If we got funded, it's possible that that could almost be one big project at one time.
And it's only, again, that corner lot sitting right there, it's only gonna attract it to sales.
First, yeah, I think
First
definitely
place to
we
go.
need to move forward with it.
It's your front door.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll say this publicly, and I don't know who this developer is, but there has been a developer expressed interest in some property along Bennington Way to develop some type of business. I don't know what it is. They've never told me, but they were holding on contingent on us getting funding for community crossings. So it's pretty clear that this development makes a difference. And if we get development up there, all that means is more options for people in here, but also there's tax revenue from that as well.
And the more people get off that
And
highway,
utilities.
everybody wins.
If I need to take that developer to lunch, just call me.
I'm hoping something happens until you see somebody
Question.
dig it.
Yes.
Does this improvement on Beagle Club Road, does that go all the way to the peak of the hill?
Yeah, it goes to the town limits. It really, I wish it did go to the peak of the hill.
So the town limits is what, just past the carpet store? So it's just shy of the top of the hill?
Correct.
Oh, boy. Okay. I don't know how many more feet that is, but it sure as hell can't be much.
It doesn't mean that we couldn't self-fund it. Or for that matter, we could even potentially,
I think we ought to go to the county and ask them to chip in.
It's not a county road. Beagle Club is ours all the way to 425 East.
Really?
it's okay, Don, I didn't know
Well,
that
then-
until Bob.
See, then the town limits is 425.
I agree. Apparently somewhere along the line, we received Beagle Club Road.
Well, then the top of the hill is,
So
It's
we-
ours.
That road is ours all the way out till 425.
well, then top of the hill can't be another 25, 35, maybe 50 feet.
I'm not saying we can't adjust this.
And that's probably 150 feet.
This engineering was, honestly, this engineering was done before I knew that was a town street. I, like you, assumed that was a county road, and that's logical for it to be a county road. I can't believe I've been here a year and a half before I realized it was not even
So
our,
someone,
it really shouldn't be a town street. But we did talk to the state, it is on our street inventory as a town street, it is not on the county's. Somehow that happened. But this engineering was actually done before we even realized, or at least I realized it was. So I'm not saying that we couldn't probably have that engineered to the top of the hill, and it's probably not a bad idea. It's gonna increase the cost a little bit, but
But it's gonna complete that corner.
it might make sense. But again, these things were thrown on, just here, just in the last few days, and I just kind of got an estimate today, and I've not even really spoken to Kelly about it, so.
that's why I have a special meeting.
The
Getting a
county
little more-
does have some surplus money.
Yes, the county has their economic development income tax, and
Doesn't hurt if Jason talks to them
we've already spoken with them.
about this.
Yes, they will be, not this, but another potential project here. So I believe it's gonna be on their next agenda. If it's not this one, I spoke to the Economic Development Director today, Kristen Clary, and she knows that is on their agenda, but she didn't know if it was gonna be January or February. This is for the commissioners. That I don't really know, and I don't know what we asked for at this point. Honestly, again, this all just happens. It's an opportunity, and should we put in for it? It's a decision for you guys to make.
Get with Kelly. Let's start there.
Okay. The second part of that was the Bennington Way. And I was hoping to have this for you tonight, but I don't have that. I thought we were gonna have our bid packets. This is the one we've been approved for, and it's going to be almost 100% paid for, unless there's some changes, it will be 100% paid for between the ARP monies that we received from the county and community crossings. So there's no expense to the town with the exception of the engineering, which we already paid. But we do have to go to bid the proper way. I was hoping to have the bid packets tonight. We don't have the bid packets tonight, but I should have them tomorrow. I will send them to you so you can kind of see what we're bidding. The bids will be due on February the 10th, and we will open them at 3 o'clock on February the 10th. And then the town council will review them and accept, if it's acceptable, we'll accept them on February 14th. Are we meeting on Valentine's Day? Does anybody else not have a wife?
It says Romans.
Shouldn't be the
Town board
14th.
meeting.
They're invited.
14th would be the third Saturday, or third Tuesday, wouldn't it?
No, that's a
It's
second.
second. I just realized it was Valentine's Day.
Okay.
Do you guys have any intentions of changing that for any reason because of Valentine's Day?
I think so.
My only reason is because I know our advertisement's ready to go, and that's, we don't know that, we should be fine on that, because the bid opening will be what was in the advertisement. So if you did change it for Valentine's Day, then I think we go. So, I just noticed that now. But our bid opening would be the 10th. The engineer will review them, make sure that they meet all the specs and review them. They'll come to the meeting on the 14th, present them to us, and make a recommendation to us. So the 14th, we're gonna know who our contractor is for that project and what the cost is. And hopefully the bids are less than the engineer's estimate, and we make this project happen. At that point, we'll also review their scope of the project and the time frame. But I have had communication with all the property owners out there. They kind of know there will be traffic control during this project. So we're not gonna be shutting down McDonald's, we're not gonna shut down the hotel, or access to any property. We'll have, our contractor will have a flagger out there through the whole process. McDonald's is obviously the biggest concern with that. They want to make sure of that. I've communicated with them. So, they're very excited about this project, as you can guess. So, there's nothing that you need to vote on, but I will get you those bid packet specs so you can see what they are. If you have any concerns, obviously this is a work in progress, so things can change throughout the project, but we're moving.
When you met with those guys and gals today, did they give you an idea, could they get a bid packet out quick enough so this possibly a single contractor scenario for Bennington Way and for Beagle Road?
Oh, I don't know. I did not discuss that with.
Okay.
Just a question, and maybe a comment, I didn't know that there is an answer to it, but I was wondering on Beagle Club Road, I was just thinking, if they do extend that out a little bit more, does that make the property on the north side of the road more attractive for developer? I mean, it seems like it might be positive, and it also might be that if you're talking to somebody that has already got their equipment out there, saying, okay, we're gonna stop right here, is it gonna be is there a cost advantage of going ahead and doing it? And only a comment because I don't know the answer and probably nobody else does, but it'd be the first thing I would ask,
Yeah, the biggest part of this project, I'm gonna say, is probably for stormwater is what our big problem is there. And when you reach that, the crest of that hill, like Don was talking about, I think the ditches there are, I mean, it's not pretty like we all want it, but I think the stormwater is not an issue there. But going to the crest of that hill would collect the stormwater that would normally come down that hill, so I do think that going to the top of the hill is probably worth looking at. We could talk about going further. It just means we have to pay 25%, whatever. And we're going to have to get the engineering done really quick. Because this is what we had our engineer do, was just to that top. I'm guessing adding a few feet isn't a big deal. I mean, the engineer may disagree with me. So,
It's good stuff.
yeah, it's happening. This is what it takes a while to get it happening, but this is exciting stuff. This is Cloverdale needed this. So, that's all I have for Bennington Way. But I will get you those so you can review them. That was also I guess the Beagle Club Road community crossings. I guess I didn't realize they were both on there. The next thing is 120 water. Richard's the one that's going to come speak to you about that. He's not here tonight, but we're still looking at another option with regards to that. That was what we were talking about, the lead and copper, that we have to do an inventory. The feds have thrown this down to the state. IDM is requiring us to do these evaluations and surveys of all the services. So no one really knows what kind of direction, so we're all just trying to figure this out. So Richard's been working on that. I've spoken to a couple people. Not saying we may not come back to 120 water, but we just left that on there until we really figure out what we want to do with that. We don't know what the best way is. We're getting information from different sources telling us the best way, and there's not always going to be a good way. But I want to leave that on there until we get that figured out, because it is going to be required. Utility compensation, I had emailed the council about this just a couple days after Christmas. The council had adopted a new handbook, November, maybe?
Effective January 1, I think.
It was sometime, October, November, December sometime, changing our policy with regards to how we compensate employees. Unfortunately, we had an event right before Christmas, or right on Christmas, where that would not have applied to them because the handbook didn't go into effect until January the 1st. So we had a water main break out just north of the water plant on the Friday before Christmas, where we think we reached 11 below that day. My guys were out 11 below fixing a water main. Not real enjoyable. And the way our handbook stated at that point, it was straight time. At 4 o'clock on Christmas Day, and obviously the employees aren't real happy to be there, whether you're paying $1,000 or the regular pay. It's not fun being out in 11-degree temperature. Christmas Day, we call them in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're here from 4 o'clock. This is over behind the elementary school. Another water main break. They're here from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about 4. They get home 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, it wasn't quite as cold, but Christmas Day and Christmas night. Again, they didn't qualify for anything except for straight time based on our handbook. I had emailed the council just to throw that idea out there to see if you would be receptive to discussions at this council meeting to somehow do some type of, at least a one-time compensation to those employees. Because as of now, that issue is resolved because the handbook addressed that. You guys have voted on that, so it's taken care of. I had kind of just thrown out the idea of granting them a one-time comp pay. And I have the hours here that the employees would have received based on their hours worked, because they were compensated straight time. So this would just be in addition to. There was no double time or time and a half or anything like that. But I guess my recommendation would be, and actually the employees are acceptable with this as doing a comp time. So it's not going to cost us any money, And it also doesn't affect our salary ordinance that we've already adopted. So
That's why we couldn't do like a bonus or something like
I'm not saying it's not possible to do, it's just probably not as easy to do. And the employees they seem happy at least that they're being acknowledged that they were in here on Christmas Day and that they were out there when it was 11 degrees, working straight time. But Brad would get 8 hours of comp time, Bradley 9 hours, Devin 8 hours, and Richard 14 hours. That was based on the hours that they were working, where they were not compensated anything other than straight time. And that's just for your consideration. There's nothing that requires you to do such, because it didn't, our policy didn't come into play until January 1st.
And they were happy with the comp time rather than,
The only one that would have rather been paid straight time was Richard, and that's because he doesn't use all his comp time, but he plans to this year. I'm encouraging him to use it this year. But the rest were happy, and actually they are happy that you're actually even considering this. There was nothing promised to them. I can't promise that, but and I heard comments while they're out there working, and if I were in a hole at 11 degrees and I got water spraying in my face, I probably would have been unhappy as well. This isn't huge, but at least it does show that they're appreciated. And,
Absolutely.
that. And if it was
So
a
did
week
you-
later, it wouldn't have been an issue.
did you comp their time at time and a half or straight time?
It's straight time, because that's the way our handbook is. Our hand, had this happened a week later, we wouldn't be even discussing
Yeah.
it.
That'd be covered.
Yeah, because we've addressed it.
So for instance, Brad has 8 hours, so that's 16 hours that he worked, that would have been.
No, those would be the hours that he worked, so because he got paid straight time.
Right, but how many hours of the 40 hours did they work?
The eight.
40. Oh, okay.
The eight, yeah, these are the ones that were over. These were the ones that would not have been compensated.
So instead of paying double time, they got paid single time, and this would make it double time. Yeah, perfect.
Correct.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and compensate these guys.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye.
I can assure you that they appreciate it.
We appreciate them.
It's pretty miserable.
Christmas carols going on, singing, stuff like that.
Yeah. Next thing, I just wanted to recognize Bob and Pam Steele are here tonight. They were here for the stormwater board meeting, they've come before. But they did make a donation to the $500 donation to the park board donation to make improvements at the park. They also made a contribution, I think it was to the fire department as well. And they may do something at a later point for the town as well. So I just did want to recognize them for that. That was, park board definitely can use that money for some projects, and just wanted to say our appreciation to them.
Thank you guys very much.
My wife made me do it.
Hey, you gotta go home with her.
Maybe.
Maybe.
That's all I have.
Okay?
That's for now.
Does the clerk treasurer have anything?
The only thing is that you have the complete water and sewer budgets from 2022 in your packets, and Kelly said she would have more information and more in-depth updates next time, so.
Okay, do you know anything about anyone wanting to be on the planning commission?
I don't have any information. I have the blank oaths, that's all I know.
Okay. I know Scott wants to be put on. Did you have, or had you decided anything on which board you would like to be on?
Doesn't matter. Put them on all.
All of them.
I don't think he wants to be on all of them. He did say he would be on a couple of them.
I'll do the planning and zoning, redevelopment, I guess.
You will do 3?
Yeah. Richard said he was gonna make me a check out for doing it.
There's 2 development spots, one town council, one council president.
Okay, I will appoint Scott Wall for the planning commission. And I will appoint Scott for the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Is redevelopment, did you want that?
Redevelopment. Don't think so.
spots.
Is it that?
I've done
I think it's-
Scott Bailey, but we were short one because
was
of Rick.
Was it a council appointment or was it the president? Okay, the minutes probably
This,
show that.
this says council appointment for redevelopment.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it's redevelopment authority board and commission. Okay.
Okay, maybe that's what I remember you pointing last meeting.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Okay, do I have a motion to appoint Scott Wall to redevelopment commission?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. And it looks like we have still a Board of Zoning Appeals vacancy, Park Board vacancy, and possibly a redevelopment authority board. And Stormwater Board is fine, this is fine. So we do still need some volunteers, but, Stormwater Board, do you have anything you want to say about that?
I can, if you want to, or don't know. You want to go there?
Yeah, go ahead.
Larry's got stormwater questions about that. Stormwater Board met at 6:30 this evening to discuss a potential project. It's kind of a town-wide project that would address projects all over town. And I do have a list of the projects up here. We had met about 3 weeks ago and discussed it with the engineers, the projects. Tonight, the Stormwater Board voted and finalized the project they want to submit as an Okra project, which is it's a CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, and it's administered through the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. We can apply for a $600,000 grant, and we keep, or at least the Stormwater Board voted to do a $913,800 project, which $600,000 would come from the grant, which means the town would be responsible for local match of $313,800. When we met, not tonight, but about 3 weeks ago, Mr. Shagley was here, we had a grant administrator here, Kelly was here, and engineer, and Larry was here. So we kind of all agreed that was kind of a project we could do and make happen. It will spend a lot of funds for the stormwater utility, but that's the purpose of that, is to build it up, do a project, build it up, do a project. So we felt like we could do all these projects with the exception of one, so we removed one project out of the list that we originally, or we, the Stormwater Board, thought they wanted to do. And that one happened to be a project up by CRC, which I think we may have another mechanism to fund that. And we talked about that in the Stormwater Board meeting tonight. But the very first step is, one, we have to decide what project we're going to do. The Stormwater Board has selected that. I've got a copy of that, and I can email all that to you. I haven't yet because they didn't do it until 6:30 tonight. So we know the projects that they're planning to do. I mean, if you want me to give you a quick rundown, I can. I'll give you the big ones. There's Market Street, right behind the downtown buildings, right behind the red roof and those buildings on Main Street. Fix some of the stormwater that comes into the back of some of the downtown buildings. South Doe Creek Road, if you know, behind the bank, that riprap, that's a disaster there going down, deteriorating the road. It'll repair that. We've got some on, there are several of them. One of the biggies, and this is the one that I wanted to express, is what we're doing with this is Stardust Way. This is this is one of those things that we've had repeat concerns about the condition of Stardust Way, and we fully recognize Stardust Way has some serious issues. This grant, if awarded, will, not only will we be able to grade the sides of Stardust Way, which isn't graded very well, it'll fix the swales there, but it also is a rebuild of Stardust Way, which we've had that as a concern since I've been here. It's probably been the number one concern of the residents, is that road. So not only is this a stormwater project, but it's a transportation project as well. So we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. They allow you to do that as a stormwater project because the crowning, I don't want to say crowning because there is no crowning in Stardust Way. And that's one of the problems. You can actually see it concaves in the middle. It needs to be crowned and the water goes to the side. So this will actually, this project, if funded, will pay for a rebuild of Stardust Way along with stormwater on the side. So that's one of the biggies. That Lazy River Road is included on here. I mean, if somebody wants to see, I can give you where all these areas. There's Stardust Hills, Lazy River, Market Street, Stardust Way, Water Street, West Street, Doe Creek Drive, the market downtown, and the project we pulled out was in front of C-Bar-C, and that was $281,000. But we keep, the Stormwater Board can fund this. So they did vote to proceed with applying. The one thing that we do need to, or I do need from the council at this point, is before we can even go in for the application or submit the application, which will be due in June, we do need to do an income survey. Cloverdale would qualify, whenever you apply for a CDBG grant, you have to be 50% or more low to moderate income. The town as a whole qualifies, but because this project does not directly affect everybody in the town, because these projects are in different parts of the town, we actually have to do an income survey. So to do an income survey, I have a contract from a gentleman named Mike Kleinpeter with Kleinpeter Consulting. He was at our last meeting as well, kind of told us what he offers. And the first thing he would do is an income survey, and to do the income survey is $3,000. The Stormwater Board voted tonight to ask, or to send a favorable recommendation to the council. The council approved this contract in the amount of $3,000. Mr. Shagley has reviewed this contract and was okay with the contract.
Well, I have no problem with the contract. One of the things that I think is definitely to your benefit is in this process of obtaining income information, one of the first processes is doing a mailing. But as you can imagine, that gets shuffled away pretty quickly. And part of their agreement is they'll do the door-to-door process. So they'll go door-to-door and try to obtain that information. And when someone receives an income survey, it can be kind of intimidating, it's kind of private, so people just toss it. So by going door-to-door, they kind of explain what's going on, how it works, and the benefits of providing this information, which then leads to better participation and return rate, which then helps with the income study, which then helps with receiving grant funds. And the fact that they'll do this for us is huge because it's not a fun process. I'm not here going door to door, but it's not fun. If you go door to door asking for income information, it can be very uncomfortable, or it can be. So I think that was one of the things I liked about the agreement, is that was included in the process. Because ultimately that would be a big part of it.
There is no percentage that they have to hit in order to be, there is.
Oh, yeah. They're gonna hit 50% or higher or low to moderate income. Based on the areas, I think that we'll hit that. And I will tell you, typically when you do an income survey, they come back higher than what the federal government has listed. So I feel pretty confident we'll hit that LMI. And kind of the areas that we're looking at, I just guess will probably fit that qualification. But there is no guarantee of that. There is that chance that
Having to go to door to door will help ensure that the income survey gets completed.
I was just thinking if we don't hit that number.
yeah, well, we if we did it townwide, if it was a project, if we were doing to the water treatment plant or something like that, that benefited every citizen, we wouldn't even have to do an income survey. We just thought that was
What's nice about the door-to-door, and you almost hope that people just get the survey and toss it. Because what you don't want is someone to receive that survey and think, well, you know, I'll just put 100,000, you know, I make 100,000, and it just blows up the results. Whereas if you go door-to-door, you can explain, we just want you to be honest, no one's gonna know who it is, but it's important that you're just honest with what your income is.
I think if they're gonna tell us, they're gonna tell you and be honest what.
Right.
If
But they
there-
might not do that, they just.
Anytime in a community around us, that this is not uncommon.
Yeah.
This is- Especially if you're doing stormwater. So, that's a pretty fair amount, but also there is, the other part of this is it would require an environmental review. And the contract for that is 500, or I'm sorry, 5,000, not 500, 5,000. These are the first step in going in for an open grant. So the environmental review, they'll just have to make sure that there's
How long is
nothing
the data
archaeological.
collected now valid?
Yeah, I knew you were gonna ask that. I think it's 3 years. I should
So
remember,
for
because I'm sure.
future jobs are already up to date.
Yeah, I know, and if we don't get funded this round, we won't have to do this again. Next, let's say we didn't get it in June, that's the June round, we can submit it again, it's 2 times a year. So, it's possible it could happen the first round, it could be second round, third round, but this would be a one-time thing for this project. If we do another open project, it would be different. But this is a one-time thing for this project. The stormwater board does have the money to pay, then we come out of stormwater.
And
Also-
also goes towards the match that they have, that we have to pay.
And Klein Peter is probably the most successful grant administrator. He has a staff of 10 employees, all of which are former Oak Road employees.
So what we would need is we would need a motion to approve each of those agreements and then the project that they approved today.
Motion separate, or can we have?
Separate motion, yeah.
Motion.
You do?
First one, I make a motion for the income survey technical assistant contract.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
And then the second motion is for the environmental review professional services contract.
Motion. That was your motion, I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
And then the project list.
Oh, you want
They need to approve that.
very well prepared, if you were gonna be, or whoever were gonna make a motion. This is the total project cost, and that's the grant award that we can get, our local match would be half.
And we are calling this,
Stormwater improvements
okay,
project, I guess.
It's all with the 281.
That would be our local match, 313.
and that is,
That is the grant that we're applying for, $600.
so I just need a motion for that.
No.
I'd probably make a motion that we're gonna apply for a grant for a project to $913,800. That's prepared by the engineer.
So I would like to make the motion for the stormwater improvement projects for $913,800. And the $600,000
It's great.
is grants.
Have a second. All in favor? Aye.
It's all happening.
It's okay.
That's a great use of that stormwater piece of the project for the last 4 or 5 years. We're getting a lot of benefit.
Anything else, Dave? Old business, guardrails.
It's not even promised I'd do it this time, but I didn't. I got nothing on that.
Okay. Is there any comments from the audience? Okay, I call this meeting adjourned.
All there is to drink no more. Took your time, 60 minutes.
What do you think? Yeah, thank you.
And he's our state representative. Of course, that's his session right now. And so we're sending him through the.
Richard's asking
So we should be reading it. And I asked him for a reply.
the second, sorry, not the second.
Used,